What an absolute pleasure to welcome you this morning, Dr. Bedi. And I'm sure that each one of us here are looking forward to learning from you. You've been an inspiration to many. Each and every one of us here have a lot to learn from you. You've had a glorious career with various challenges, various experiences to share. May I please request you to draw examples of inclusivity from your career, the personal experiences, the professional experiences that you've had over the year, instances from your life which you feel will really add to this summit, because there is so much more that we can gather from your knowledge. Embedding inclusive culture and workplace, which is so very vital. All this and more. What do you think about all of this, ma'am?
Let me begin by saying thank you, Isha. Thank you, you and your entire team of ETH. It's been such an honor being invited by such a prestigious forum. After all, life has been for sharing, and you've given me an opportunity to share. I've been writing about it. Am I on? Okay. I've been writing about it, speaking about it, but being invited to such a wonderful forum, which is so impacting, it's a personal honor. Isha, let me begin by saying, first of all, what I think, what literature says about diversity and inclusion. What all does it mean? It means embracing. It means encompassing. It means being comprehensive. It means all options. It means all together. It means all around. It means across the board, It means without exception. And it also means co-option. It also means collaboration. It means all together. That's what inclusivity, and that's what your focus of conference is on, innovation, diversity, and inclusion for good business. I say for good governance, for good quality of life, wherever you are. After all, you're governing, administrating for quality of life, enhancing quality of life, and benefiting in all. So I would present after this opening definition, I've made a few slides for you to explain and to bring what international and very great thinkers think about inclusivity and diversity. Let me begin with slide 1. If you have the ready slide 1, that's the slide. Let me read it, what Jesse Jackson said. When everyone is included, everyone wins. When everyone is included, everyone wins. Now, if I could draw this from my professional life, let me explain to you a story. When I was posted as Deputy Commissioner of West Delhi in my early years of service, it was West Delhi. And you know, the kind of Delhi you have, half of Delhi was West Delhi. It was a very large population. The entire Navjyoti area, which you see, all that Rohini, Pitamgur, Saraswati, all that area was all villages. It was all villages. And crime was rampant. And we had night crime hugely, particularly from some ex-criminal tribes coming to Delhi and committing rapes and cutting off women's legs and arms because they had silverware. They had silver, they were cutting them off. And these tribes would come in a train, stop by in a particular village, cut off the arms and legs because they had those silver. We couldn't be brought out. You know, those women of those times had those bangles of silver and they would just cut them off. So it was huge. This is the first time as a woman I became a Deputy Commissioner of Police in India. In India, first time you had a woman dealing with night crimes of ex-criminal tribes. And it was full of 120 villages I had at the moment. Things have dramatically changed, it's got urbanized. I want to tell you, how did I control crime? I had only 4 policemen in the entire Navjyoti area, 4. How we converted by inclusion, how we controlled crime is a story by itself. It's documented in my book called I Dare. But let me explain to you, number 1, for my listeners. What we did was, we included the entire village pradhans and the panchayats into the crime control. I told them, I have only 4 policemen. and you have so many villages. How can I control crime? So I was honest. It was authenticity and inclusion. What worked in this first slide, which I was telling you, which I explained to you, that when everyone is included, everybody wins. How did everybody win? Everybody got included. They became part of the night crime. They patrolled their own villages. They had the whistle, they had the torch, and I didn't outsource it completely. I was night patrolling in those villages 5 nights a week. So it was an inclusion. It was diversity. It was youth. It was elders. It was police officers and all of us. And then they were resourced by their own torches. I didn't pay for that. They found their own torches. They had their own whistles. And believe me, it's a story by itself. Night crime fell. The rapes being committed on those women fell. So this is my first example of, along with my West Delhi. Second part of that whole story is how I created beat boxes. Now, I do not know whether it is a woman's heart which made it do, but it was innovative, because people wouldn't come to the police station to report crime. So we created beat boxes. They call beat boxes, called neighborhood police beat boxes. I tell you, this is still a solution in policing of today. Is whatever I'm telling you is even needed now in collaborative policing called community policing. It's an example of beat boxes, where beat boxes were built, and it was only by 6 by 6. It was built by neighborhood market associations. You could go and record your crime there, and by wireless walkie-talkie, the police beat officer, for a few hours sitting in the beat box, would inform the control room what the crime is, called police beat boxes. Some of those boxes are still available as monuments. The practice is gone. Practice is gone. But the boxes were there, about 116 or more boxes which were committed. So this is my first example, Isha, to my listeners, of how crime fell. Cooperation of community came together because of two things: night patrolling by the villagemen, and secondly, beat boxes, which was like neighborhood police post. You could go across, and the beat man would inform the wireless that this is a crime, and it was taken as FIR. It was taken as FIR, finished. I'm talking of 1983. You are talking of this policing in 2021, something which I did. And by the way, this is mentioned in my Magsaysay Award citation, because the world took notice of this kind of community policing, which broke adversarial relationships between the police and the people. Now, let me go to the second slide, how I used it in my career. Now, from crime prevention, now it's traffic. I am often remembered as a crane Bedi. I will tell you how it happened. Now, the second slide, Mother Teresa said, what you can do, what I cannot do. I can do what you cannot do. Together, the word is together, we can do great things. That's what Mother said. That's why Mother was a Nobel laureate. She co-opted, she was inclusive, she was innovative, and she brought an entire diversity into her homes. Now, let me give you an example of my traffic police. I had no cranes at that time. I had only 2 cranes for entire Delhi to enforce parking habit. I had no cranes. I had no money as a Deputy Commissioner of Police Traffic. PHQ had no money. Nobody had any resources. We co-opted all private contractors. This is what private contractors came in. They picked up the car as we told them. We fined them as a traffic police officer for. So there were 2 fines being paid by the contractor, and then fined by traffic police. So what happened was we became known for the traffic parking rules enforcement. It was co-opted, involving. So second thing, you remember the Asian Games, 9th Asian Games during at that time. We were short of policemen and women. We co-opted the entire Home Guards, the entire civil defense, the entire NCC students, and we involved citizen volunteer force. And guess what? If I had 300 policemen, we had 3,000 of them as volunteers, taking care of all traffic booths and and they were all white and blue. This is exactly what I did in Commonwealth Games of Commonwealth Heads of Government meet in Chogam in Goa. Another collab example, how, as Mother said, What I can't do, you can do. And that's what students did. This is my second slide. Let me go to my third slide to establish from my career. Let's go to the slide 3. Slide 3 is diversity, the art of thinking independently together. What is diversity? Is the art of thinking independently and together. Now, what is from my career, if I would draw a story and a personal experience, is the beat system. At that time, as a deputy commissioner of police, I was the least experienced in policing. I had, let's say, experience of training. I had no experience of running policing. So where do I get my experience from? By co-option, by learning from my constabulary, who had done 30 years of policing. So I used to go to a police station every morning. 9 o'clock sharp, I would be in a police station. What did I do? I listened, I heard, I learned, and I gave them an option. So what did I do? The art of thinking independently. I made my policemen think independently. I asked them, tell me, how can we co-opt people? Tell me, what is the solution? Tell me, what's your problem? It was the art of, I made the policemen for the first time think on their own, and a deputy commissioner of police accepting their thinking. So this is very, very important, that if you're looking for inclusion. So what I did was, I included police constables into running and into leadership management. So I thought this was the third example I wanted to establish for you. Now let me go to my prison. From police, crime prevention, from traffic inclusion, how I gained by inclusion and collaboration. Now I'll take you to an example in prisons, which you probably, your generation knows. Earlier points you did not know, because you were all post that kind of a generation. Prisons you've heard about. Let me share with you, how did I handle the prison issue? Now let me go to the next slide. The next slide is, sometimes the greatest gift you give another person is simply to include them. What did I do? I included prisoners into prison management. That's a gift I gave them. It says, sometimes the greatest gift you can give another person is simply include them. Well, how did I include prisoners into inclusion? By making panchayat system inside. We made panchayats out of prisoners. Skill development. I'm talking about skills. Everybody who comes to the prison has a skill. But we didn't use the skill of pickpocketing and crimes. We took their skill of what they were good at, handicraft or art or music. And we made panchayat systems of them. And most important thing is, we created a feedback box system. This is mentioned even in my Max's citation, is where I created a feedback which is most unique, where we are looking at all the time listening, all Harvard, all researchers saying, listen to your, in COVID also. In fact, it's being said that one of the post-COVID thing is, listen to your employees, listen to their understanding, listen to what their families have to say, so that the post-COVID management is going to be more of listening, so that you are better in HR management. So feedback box system, panchayat. In the feedback box system, you might ask me, what did we do? Prisoners could write their own confidential letter. It was a feedback mobile box. And it was a locked box. Only I had the key. Any prisoner who had any problem or any information developing in the prison, it was put as a letter in that locked box. Every evening, I would open that box on my table before I would leave home, pick up if there's anything urgent. Only I had access to that box and what was written in the box. Can you believe it? 10,000 prisoners writing to me letters in that box. I had full information of what's happening in the box. The criterion for this is faith and trust. I included, that's what I said. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give another person is simply to include them. I gave them the gift of being included in their own security management. During that time, there were no riots, no murders, no gangsters, no extortions, no kidnappings arranged from inside, because I had all the information. Let me go to the last 5th slide. The last 5 slide is, if you can go to the 5th slide, an individual has not started. This is now from my Puducherry experience as Lieutenant Governor. And it says, an individual has not started living until he can rise above the narrow confines of his individualistic concerns to broader concerns of all humanity. My role now was management of Puducherry as a union territory. I had to look at issues which compassed all 16 lakh population, all. And what I found was that there was no money to do water harvesting, desilting of these hundreds of irrigation canals, no money, which means every time the rain came, it overflowed and flooded the towns. So everybody was a gainer. Everybody got compensations, but farmers lost out. What did I do? Any irrigation canal next to a corporate house, which was using water, was a water guzzler, I made them adopt that irrigation canal. And I said, now this is your job to desilt it. You find the contractor, you have the money, you bring in what you are using money, you have to generate water. So water harvesting became CSR driven in Puducherry for the first time. By the time I left Isha, I left Puducherry water rich. It was water starved. But after that, not only that, we made irrigation canals by co-option of the corporates. We also brought in the urban drains, because urban drains also were flooding because they were never desilted. So we brought the market associations to work together. No money got exchanged. LG's office got not involved into any money. The contractor was directly engaged by the donor or the market association. They desilted. Villagers of the area or the market association oversaw the desilting quality, and I left Puducherry cleaner, without a flood water, and also water rich. Now, what I wanted to say really is, now my last slide is, if I think I have a last slide as a closure, is inclusion. What is inclusion? It's not a matter of political correctness. I was not being politically correct. It's the key to growth. It's the key to growth. So if any one of us is keen on growth, keen on human quality life, humanity and peace, then inclusivity, innovation is key, and comprehension, all embracing, encompassing people is the key to growth. So all of us, whether in management or corporate world, if we are interested in growth, we will do all these 5 slides, which I thought show you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to establish it based on my personal experience through my career. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Bedi. It's been such a pleasure listening to you, ma'am, and it's been an honor having you here with us. You came up with some fantastic examples from your own life, and that is what has brought about questions from the audience as well. I'd like to take your permission to please take at least a couple of them.
Most welcome. Please go ahead.
Ma'am, one of our audience members wants to know what will be your advice to their corporate for really getting started with diversity and inclusion in their system.
I think I'll give it in the definition. Look around. Look, the chair neither has a caste nor a gender. No chair has a caste or a gender. Chair has value. And get valuable people, men or women, or from marginalized sections or at the elite, Harvard educated or village school educated. Look at talent. Look at talent. Have an eye for talent. The chair neither has gender, nor does it have a caste. It has talent. It's for talented people. So if you look out for talented, then your chairs will be occupied by talented people and you will grow.
And like you very rightly mentioned in one of your quotes there, key to growth really is inclusivity. And that's what one needs to take forward. We have another question. How do we get the entire organization on board for encouraging D&I? Again, on similar lines, our audience wants to know how can they incorporate D&I in their DNA?
It begins with you as the leader. It begins with you as the leader. You have to set the tone. You have to set the culture. And as it travels, and then be effective. You see, not just visionary, you have to translate that vision into effectiveness, effective implementation. So all that goes, which means you have to set the tone, set the culture. As I told you, I was going to a police station every morning at 9 o'clock to learn. I was walking on the traffic. I was walking my prisons, looking at feedbacks. This is what you do. Once you set the tone, then feedback starts flowing. Right? Feedback, things start happening and it develops a work culture of its own. Then you only have to do is keep pushing it, keep problem solving as they come.
So learning every
Wonderful.
single day, and like you mentioned, listening, keeping those ears open, listening to your team and taking things forward in a very positive direction. It's been a fantastic morning. Thanks to you, ma'am. Thank you so very much for your inspiring notes, those examples that you took from your life, the anecdotes that you shared. It's been so very absolutely fantastic listening to you there. Thank you once again for joining us.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
And as we thank Dr. Kiran Bedi for joining us, for sharing with us how it's not just about good business, but good governance and taking forward, good team, taking your organization better. You've got to make sure that you innovate with diversity and inclusion as you step forward into good business. As we look forward to our next session, it's a very interesting industry leaders discussion on building the talent pipeline, step towards innovation, and a lot more, where our panelists will be touching upon developing strategy for talent pipeline, challenges in building talent pipeline, talented workforce and diversity in talent leading to innovation, all this and a lot more. Let me extend a very warm welcome to all our panelists. We have with us Ms. Shriyasi Singh, founder and CEO, Harappa. May I also extend a warm welcome to Mr. S. Sunil Kumar, President, Henkel India. May I also present you Mr. Arijit Pal Chaudhary, Executive Director, Head of HR, Nomura Services India, and our panel chair, Mr. Ashok Pamidi, Social Entrepreneur and former CEO, NASCOM Foundation. It is such a pleasure having all of you here with us. Let me also remind our viewers that we look forward to your questions. It is your questions, your comments that make this such an interactive discussion. So please do send in your questions, and do remember to tag us each time you head to your social media using our hashtag ETDNI.